evening and welcome to the Situation Room on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. It's always a pleasure to be on radio, informing you about events and happenings within the polity and even beyond. Just like the name is, the Situation Room, we're here to bring to you the situation and of course give you an opportunity to also opine on the matters that we bring on radio. My name is Sage Babalola. This is the sound of Lagos, Mainland 98.3 FM. From now up until 5:30 p.m. we'll be having socio-economic, socio-political issues, regardless of what is happening in the polity. As long as it involves you, it involves me, of course you have a right to participate in that conversation. But today is going to be a little bit special because before we get into the primary conversation for this morning, for this evening, I beg your pardon, I believe that a lot of you are aware of what's happening in Lagos State, especially with the commissioning of the Red Line Rail that would be happening tomorrow. The president will be in Lagos to commission that. A lot of infrastructural projects have been going on in Lagos State. The blue contractors from outside the country trying to sort out the Fourth Mainland Bridge, for example, the second phase of the Blue Line Rail. But right now, the Red Line is about to become open for commercial purposes, and the commissioning would be happening tomorrow. So for the first 10 minutes of the show, we're going to have a conversation with the head of Public Affairs Enlightenment Department of LASMA, Tᴏɪᴛ Adebayo, who'll be talking to us about what the traffic situation is going to be like tomorrow, travel advisory for road users and commuters, among other things. So let's have a conversation with Mr. Tᴏɪᴛ Adebayo. Good evening to you, Mr. Tᴏɪᴛ. How are you doing today, sir?
Hello?
Yes, hello. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, how are you? Good evening.
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Listeners.
Yes, thank you for joining us. So very briefly, like I said, I just want you to give us an insight into what traffic diversion and what traffic management is going to be like for road users tomorrow following the commissioning of the Blue Line Rail.
Lagosian, particularly motoring public, should not entertain any fear. Every law enforcement, every traffic officers have been put in strategic position to manage traffic tomorrow. Don't forget the fact that at 12 p.m. or 12 noon today till tomorrow 12 noon as well, that is for 24 hours, the Third Mainland Bridge has been completely shut, closed for motorists. So motorists are now flying through Ikorodu residents to Lagos. Every hand has been on deck. LASMA officers have deployed a large number of officers to manage and control traffic along that axis. And the acting general manager of the agency has equally deployed towing trucks and some emergency eye trucks to strategic position across these very areas, Ikorodu Road, inward Bridge, Akpobo axis, all the areas where traffic, so that it won't disturb the flow of traffic and it will be easily removed from the road. So every ranks are on deck against tomorrow. There won't be any problem. Nobody should entertain any fear.
So
it wasn't only LASMA. I only talked about the LASMA because I'm the director of public affairs of LASMA. You have every relevant government agencies, including security apparatus on ground. The Nigerian police, that is the Lagos State Police Command, they will be there. The Navy, Army, and all you can think of, just to make sure that Lagosians enjoy free flow of traffic and without any disruption of the Mr. President visit for tomorrow.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you for your time. Is there any website, for example, or any way people can get information firsthand about the itinerary and plans for tomorrow? Is there anywhere people can go for information regarding movement tomorrow? Anywhere people can get information about traffic advisory for tomorrow, maybe a website or something?
Well, any moment from now, a traffic advisory will be issued.
Okay.
So people should not, motorists or members of the should not entertain any fear.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Tᴏɪᴛ Adebayo. He decided to join us very briefly. As you know, it's a very busy day to talk to us about what the situation will be like with traffic, especially as the president will be joining us in Lagos for the commissioning of the Red Line Rail in Lagos State. We're going to go on a brief break. When we come back, we get straight into the conversation for today on the Situation Room, and we're talking about public sector reform reform, how reports and recommendations of the past can be useful in ensuring that we get the best out of public service at this moment. My name is still Sage Babalola. When we come back, of course, I'll introduce my special guest and we get straight into conversations. This is still the Situation Room on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. Don't go anywhere.
Dear Nigerians, I am determined, I repeat, to give you the affordable and reliable power.
The stakes are higher than ever.
Government policy does not support youth in this country. So if you say you have any idea, one day, one way or the other.
The conversations are louder than imagined. The expectations are greater. The demand for quality blueprints needed to make informed decisions is constantly being reviewed.
You can't start hiding under party or anything. We are leaders that are entrusted by our people. Come and speak on their behalf.
The Situation Room on 98.3 Mainland FM provides the platform where all of your demands are met. Issue-based conversations about politics, policies, leadership and governance in Nigeria and around the world. Join us every Mondays through Fridays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. as we engage and interact towards setting the agenda for proper accountability and public engagements. The Situation Room is here. We welcome the roommates.
Thank you so much for staying with us. You're still on to the Situation Room on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. I told you that today on the show we would be talking about said report, and of course you guessed right, the recent 괘ᴜᴜ report that this administration has decided to implement is what gave birth to the decision to discuss this matter on radio today. The contents of this report would be, judging by the recent reality of the average Nigerian at this time, our economic woes and a lot of the policies that have been implemented or employed at this time by the recent Tinubu-led administration. But of course, it is our practice here to lay some sort of foundation before we get into the question and answer session. So afford us 2 minutes of your time to at least just get an understanding of what this entire conversation is about. Now, governance is a collective responsibility, and as much as we are obligated to trust those at the helm of affairs to protect our collective interest with the decisions that they make, we cannot totally abdicate that responsibility to them. And in dealing with the myriad of the counsel and the recommendation of well-meaning Nigerians, especially intellectuals, and over the years across different administrations, we've had intelligent Nigerian structures to support the average Nigerian in a way to make sure that we all enjoy the plethora of benefits that a democratic government provides. Well, today on the show, we would be discussing a number of reports and recommendations that has been put together by Nigerians of divergent backgrounds with one single objective in mind, which is good governance. And the 괘ᴜᴜ report of 2012, which focused on public sector reform. There's the WH report of 2008, which can be considered a guide on electoral reform. There's also the Comfort report of 2014, one that emphasizes on structures that would guarantee the security of lives and property, especially after the country has suffered a fair share of agitation and upheaval, if you allow me to say that. And of course, joining me in the studio today to discuss the topic, public sector reforms, Ladi Johnson, who is the National Auditor, NNPP. It is such a pleasure to have you join us in the studio today. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you so very much. So let's get straight into the conversation with the limited time that we have today. Let's talk about the 괘ᴜᴜ report. And I'm doing this in this order because that is the most prominent one at this time. That particular report is coming up after almost 16 years or about 12 years of, its recommendation, especially when it comes to the different agencies and parastatals and commissions of government. And there's been a lot of reaction to the decision of this administration to implement that particular report. So let me get your general reaction first of all about that report, and let me do this by first refreshing our memory about some of the things that make up that particular report, or summarizing. Now, 200 163 agencies will be slashed to 161. 38 agencies are to be scrapped. 14 agencies will be downgraded to department in ministries, and all of these mergers are to be done within 12 weeks. And a panel that will sort out all the legislative, allow me say mumbo, to get your reaction regarding the report in itself, that recommendation to squeeze or minimize the size of government. How relevant do you think, first of all, that it still is in this present day and age?
Thanks a lot. Well, the report has been relevant since it was submitted to the government with, looking at it with figures and numbers that are relevant. You'll agree with me that 20 is that this government must, of necessity, trim its size and the cost of governance. And in implementing this report, any part of it or parts of it thereof, it will help towards what government needs to do. But I know for certain that it will not go far enough. There are too many interests who want big government, who feel, for instance, appointments and what you have are like awards and whatever you have for the boys, as it were. So government has to look at that. Look, you have an increase in cost of living. Inflation is going up on a daily basis. And the government is, I don't want to say that Nigeria is broke, but we have problems. So government must look for a way to cut its costs. And it isn't, the public sector is a good start, but we must see the same thing happening in within the executive arm of government itself, and also within the legislative arm of government.
All right. A lot of challenges, or should I say demerits, have also been highlighted. As much as people can appreciate the fact that it first of all will save the government a lot of money, in fact to the tune of about 241 billion naira is supposed to be saved if we are able to properly implement this, amongst other things. There's also the concern execute certain tax, and there's the concern of people will lose their jobs. And you know how very fragile, or should I say how very alarming the unemployment figure are at this time. Although representatives of the government have said the new structure would accommodate these people regardless, no matter how much of subsuming and slimming and trimming we do, the new structure can still accommodate these people, and the fear of mass job losses is nothing to worry about. But I want to understand the logic behind it. If the concept is to trim down, these agencies, and by people make up agencies, so you have to trim the people as well. What new structure are you then going to build that will still accommodate the same amount of people? Then really, was there a trimming done?
Yes. Well, that's logical. But at times, you see, economics is not that logical. You trim down the cost of governance. Then the weight of recurrent expenditure is not so much on government, in theory. You understand? And then the economy as a whole begins to recover, or it adds to the recovery of the economy as we know it. When that happens, if this economy begins to improve, then you'll have opportunities arising and opening up for people. And for people who have attained certain levels or levels in government, in the civil service, in the public service, they will be at an advantage, you understand, to go into the private sector if they choose to do so. So we shouldn't have to look at the overall good. You have to look at what needs to be done to get the economy of Nigeria working again. You have to look at what needs to be done, and we are people that import even toothpicks, virtually everything. So we're in trouble. But Nigerians are funny people. If it were in any other African country, worry about things and keep praying about what you don't need prayer to fix. You need people to take action. certain actions, curb corruption, cut costs daily. What is happening? You have people, customs telling you they're selling rice, bags of rice. At the same time, import duties, tariffs,
5 times in 1 month.
They're going up. They should be going down the other way. So that is why I always say that this government and the one before it is just a tax and spend government. It's about revenue for the government and those in government, not about the people, not about the masses. If you remove fuel subsidy, you are saying to the people that, okay, tighten your belts. And I always say to my friends, give me one thing that government has done to tighten its own belt.
Right. We're going to talk about decisions of government and how, or maybe if there's a variance between recommendations and the decisions that the government make at the end of the day. So just to take us back to the primary question, you believe that it's still possible to, restructure the system and still maintain the amount of people that were in the former system in the new one? It's possible to still keep them there?
No, I'm not saying that. You quoted that.
Okay.
That they said they shouldn't worry about.
Yeah, the job losses were not that. That's why I'm asking for your perspective. Do you think it's possible?
What I'm saying is that yes, when you lay people off, you pay them, things like that are done, and you try to take care of them. At the same time, hoping that they can move quickly.
Talk about slimming the structures, but then the structure is really the people. So and for this to work, even if at the end of the day, after the 12 weeks, we go about implementing this, or say a report, it is all the subsuming and all the trimming and everything, and we restructure and we have lesser agencies that are taking money from the government. There's still people in there that need to maintain that structure. So how do we go about after slimming or causing us to have a leaner government? We reorient the people, or reorientate the people that make up that system, such that they're able to ensure a continuity. I'm trying so hard to think of euphemisms, because I don't want to throw the word corruption around a lot. I really don't like to throw the word around, but there is some sort of endemic corruption embedded in the average Nigerian. And I say average Nigerian because I am a Nigerian as well, and you don't know how you will act until you're in a system. So how do we reorient these individuals that are going to be in this new structure, such that we're able to continue in this path that we have started?
What structure? That means, say for example, you have 3-4 people doing a particular thing, not in an efficient manner. Now you have one person doing it, right? And that person now has the necessary computer software, etc. I'm just citing an example.
I understand you.
Right? Now that is good. But then from the top down, you have to have example. Leadership by example. The system at the moment is quite porous. And if Mr. President wants to leave a good legacy, he hasn't started well. If he wants to leave a good legacy, then he will make sure that the system is as foolproof as possible. It cannot be perfect, but he work towards it. And that corruption is being, I don't want to use the word stamped out. We all know it will
at least minimized to the barest,
that it is being minimized
barest level
on a daily basis. It's a continuous fight. That is why I said it is leadership by example. You see, the people under the president, whether public servants, whether civil servants, whether the politicians, and under the ministers, etc., governors, local government chairman, and that's not just cutting corner. It won't work that way. So at the end of the day, he's got a contract for 4 years, and the people will begin to judge. In fact, they started to judge now, but maybe he might be able to improve his scorecard. You understand? But by 2026, 27, the time would have come, and people will not wait to listen to excuses. People say, it's the public servants that were working with him, it's not him. I always say, don't tell me that. Because if it was successful, you would say, oh, so I remember with President Buhari, how when they saw that the whole system was porous, they now turned it to, it's not his fault. There are many people working there and
Right.
everything, you know. So the buck stops at the table of Mr. President.
Right. If you're just joining us, this is the Situation Room on Mainland Reform. We're talking about reports, recommendation, and implementation. And we're referencing the Ōmāsānyō report that is currently being reviewed surrounding the implementation of this report. Comes out with some sort of, should I say, channel through which we can fully and properly implement this particular report. But again, this is not the only report we'll be referencing. There's the WH report, there's the Confab report. There's a lot of report and recommendations by well-meaning Nigerians, and we want to see how relevant the content of these reports are going to be, and also the struggles with implementation, which happens to be one of the primary issues that we have in this country. We're streaming the show live on Facebook and on YouTube. Mainland 98.3 FM is how you can find us on both streaming platform, or if you like, facebook.com/mainland 98.3 FM. So let me extend that question a little bit further before we go to the WH report, which focuses on electoral reform. You do understand that a leaner government means that certain individuals who used to be head of departments, who used to be head of parastatals, they will go through some sort of demotion. And I know you understand what I'm trying to say, because if you were heading a department that now is subsumed, or explain how very reluctant we are as a people to relinquish power, it's very difficult, especially people who have experienced power before. It's difficult to start answering to people you once considered subordinates, in a manner of speaking. And so are we going to see a situation where there would be some sort of underlying tussle for power within the new structure, and that in a way would undermine the primary purpose of the content of the Ōmāsānyō report?
It shouldn't. You will see that, definitely. Just before you asked the question, actually, that came to mind.
Right.
I was like, oh, the next thing is that the legislature, the Senate, House of Reps, will now have people
other ones.
You understand? Because a lot of these agencies, departments, or whatever, were created by to go back there. The president doesn't have.
Of course, the Senate has to.
Yes. So you will now find that if the system is corrupt, the senators, etc., will feed fat at the moment, because those who are DG or whatever GM here will start to lobby them with the dollars that are scarce to say, please don't let them do this, don't let them do this. So the committee that Mr. President has put in place have to be firm, know what the
Sģ is the one heading the.
I'm talking about his special senior.
Okay, his cabinet, those who make it. Yeah, the cabinet.
That the senators and the members of the House of Reps, especially those who are members of the party of Mr. Poole, to deliver on what he wants achieved in the short term. I think you said 12 weeks. Or something.
12 weeks.
You understand? So that is these are some of the intrigues that will begin to occur. You understand? In fact, I'm sure they started occurring.
I mean, because you can understand.
Yes.
You are the head of the department, and now that you're
complicated, it's not just look. It's you can imagine if we both had a contract coming up, 2 days to sign in the contract in some agency, some hundreds of millions of dollars contract, will even be the ones lobbying the senators. That's democracy. That's how it is. You can imagine they'll just throw a spanner in the works. And that's why most of these reports were never implemented in the first place. So let's see if this government has the political will and the foot soldiers to carry out what they say they want to.
Right. So thank you very much, sir, for your. I really appreciate your expertise in all of these matters. Let's talk about electoral reform at this time. And there has been quite a number of reports regarding electoral reforms, but I want us to highlight the most common one so we can carry everybody along, which is the WH report. We are 63 years old. 25 years of democracy. 5 different democratically elected presidents, and still billions of naira expended to the electoral process. And it's unfortunate that with all of that, amongst other things, and these are not issues that are just happening. They've been happening since the minute we became a democratic state. And a lot of intellectuals, stakeholders have come up with, these are the problems. We recognize the problems. The problems are not changing. They're just simply being exacerbated. But there are ways that we can nip this in the bud. And one of that such report is the waste report. The late Umar Musa Yar'Adua, bless his soul, as a beneficiary of the election in 2007, said, I benefited from this election, but this process is flawed and I have to rectify it, even if I enjoyed, from the inadequacies of this particular process. And of course, the committee, first of all, they spoke about insulating INEC as the electoral body recognized by the law. Their job is simple: organize or coordinate the elections. Well, simple in a manner of speaking. We know it's more complex than that, or should I say that's the one singular or primary objective of INEC: coordinate the elections. And now that report, or one of the recommendations in the report, is that to allow INEC to function properly, insulate it from influences of politicians and even the executive arm of government. But then how can we insulate this when even the appointment, the funding of INEC is still very much tied to the apron string of the executive? Help us understand how you can insulate the electoral body that is supposed to be non-partisan and in a way is still subject to the funding and in a way, let me just put it at funding of the executive arm and even politicians.
Well, it's what's that saying? It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle wrapped in a mystery in an enigma. It is very difficult in the Nigerian context.
Right.
You see, the main problem we have, corruption, what have you, is that I always tell people, corruption is not an Igbo word, it's not a Yoruba word, it is an English word. So it existed in the democracies that we look up to.
Right.
But the difference, one of the differences, I think, one, I can give you like two. One, they believe in their flag. We don't. Most Nigerians don't look
hardly patriotic.
Yes, they don't look at that green, white, green and say, no, they don't. That's one. Two is that they believe in their oath of office. The civil servant, the public servant, even the political appointee, having been appointed, believes in that constitution. I am serving the people of Nigeria. If it were not so, I tell you, Donald Trump would have been successful in doing what he wanted to do. If it were in Nigeria, most of those who were in the Department of Justice, his Attorney General, people like that, would have given in. But over there, the institutions are a bit stronger. They sit on firmer ground. And they were able to say to him, you're the president, but go to hell. This is wrong. That doesn't happen in Nigeria. In Nigeria, once the person, even local government chairman, chairman wants it to, now so we go do the governor.
Ignore the law and follow the person. Right.
That is one of the major problems that we have. Now, when you look, and then you now have Mr. President virtually appointing the chairman, or you must deliver. I'm not saying he said that.
Yeah, of course, we're saying these are the possibilities.
Exactly. And then the person begins, because he's very powerful as well. He's an executive chairman. So we really have to look at, I'm not saying, you notice I'm not preferring a solution.
Of course. No, we are going to. That's what this conversation is going at, solutions.
We really have to look at it and look at the possibilities. In the United States, what they have is that because they have like a two-party system, the Republicans on the electoral committee as the Democrats have. They don't fool themselves. They know that you will have a political leaning. They won't tell you he's not a member of a political party. let us appoint him. She's not a member of a... No, they don't fool themselves. Same thing with the judges over there. They'll tell you that this person was appointed by Reagan, was appointed by Trump. He's a right-leaning judge. This person was appointed by Obama. He's a left-wing leaning judge, or she is. So they don't fool themselves. You know what you're getting. That it is likely that this judge will rule against the right to have abortion because she's extreme right-wing. She was appointed by a Republican governor, Republican president. So we have to, you understand, begin to understand that these biases, these prejudices are there. How do we legislate around them instead of saying that they don't exist? We're fooling ourselves if we say that.
Please allow me to interrupt you very briefly.
Yeah.
They didn't just, say that let's insulate INEC from the influences of politicians and the executive. They also went further to say that instead of the president being in charge of appointing the chairman, let us allow the president of the National Judicial Council be in charge of that.
Who appoints the president of the National Judicial Council?
You took the words right out of my mouth. There will still always be that particular collection. So this is not something we can start to rectify from the center. We have to rectify from the middle. We have to start rectifying it from the grassroots. But again, with the judiciary, especially following all the things that played out in the last election. I mean, we saw sponsored billboards, all eyes on the judiciary. A lot of people are questioning the integrity of the judiciary. So do not necessarily have trust in the judiciary. So what are we supposed to do?
Even if they have trust, what does the judiciary have to do?
Of the separation of power?
Exactly.
Because the judiciary is supposed to hear cases.
Exactly.
So why should they still be the one
involved in any way?
So that
except when they bring
this recommendation, then how would it be relevant to the present day?
That recommendation is dead on arrival. Okay. Because as you said yourself, why would the judiciary have anything to do with INEC except if a case comes before them?
Right.
You understand? The moment they appoint INEC, then you are asking the judiciary to begin to run the election, because when you appoint someone, you try to make sure the person does what is correct, what is going on there, this and that. And right. So when the cases come, that means the judge and whatever in their own case. So it's a difficult one, but I would rather think that maybe through the National Assembly or through Senate, or I don't know. Maybe,
so what should the people then vote?
Overseas, in like the American system, you have yes, they're lawyers. That they say, okay, this man wants to be Attorney General of Lagos State. He is meant to be for the people. Separate the Commissioner for Justice or Minister from Justice from Attorney General. Some people have said that. It's one of the recommendations. I'm just using it as an example.
Yes.
Commission, even if the governor goes wrong, he can independently call for an investigation, etc., etc. So these are the things we have to look at. It's interesting. We're still growing. That's why I said 60 years or 62 years. Well, it's as if we're just crawling.
Well, we're still looking at reports and recommendations of time past and how relevant these recommendations would be in the present day reality of the average Nigerian, whether it be economic issues, it be social reform, it be electoral reform, it be security. There are a lot of well-meaning Nigerians of divergent backgrounds who have converged over the years to recommend things to the government. As I said, government is a collective effort, and there are people who have been working with the government since time immemorial to recommend solutions to problems that have remained city at this time with the specific problems that we're dealing, especially when it comes to our the electoral progress that we've been able to make so far in the country. Let's talk about the Special Electoral Offences Commission. They say that a special electoral offences commission should be set up, separated from the regular court, and I can understand why that is, because right now the courts are overburdened by litigations, blowback from the election, such that civil cases are unheard. We have people that have been, in jail for years, and they've not even had their day in court. Why? The court is too busy trying to settle somebody who INEC did not stamp his paper, and because of that, he's not. It's just a lot of, election litigation that is drawing the court back. And this recommendation says have a special commission, a special court that would deal with election litigation, and let the other court focus on civil top, a special electoral offense court that will look at election litigation matters and speed up the process.
Well, the first question I'll ask, I know I meant to give you an answer,
right,
is that these people in special courts, I take it they'll be judges?
Of course.
Exactly. So you see, the thing there is this. We love to set up special this, tribunal this, that, this, miscellaneous offenses tribunal, drug tribunal, all sorts of things.
It's just meant to expedite the process, so we
you
can
see,
move
I
on
just
from there.
feel more judges. If you need to spend more of your state's budget or allocate more on the judiciary, same thing with the federal. It's enough, state by state basis. The federal high court as well. You understand? They need to expand. They need to do so efficiently. Spend more money on the judiciary. You understand? If you do that, and the judiciary is better trained, better equipped, etc., then you'll find that your cases will be dealt with expeditiously. If you have power, I'm just showing you how it's linked, because you can sit in court and then there's no power. The court has no light, no electricity for 2-3 days. And then the administrative judge or the chief judge will now say, that generator, because it's in the budget, diesel, be there still, so they adjourn. Things are slow. So all these things contribute, and we have a lot of work to do. A lot of people are not, they're not.
That any individual that is being elected, as long as you still have legal issues that you're dealing with, you should not be sworn in on to assume office. Allow me, I dare say that is hardly anybody at the helm of affairs at this time that does not have any legal issue they're dealing with at this time. A lot of accusations, whether or not it's an accusation, as long as the court has been invoked, you have a matter in court, and these people are sworn out. In other climes,
if you have an issue relating to your election,
of course, to the election, there are lots of, in other climes, when there are issues like this, they step away from their duty for a while, and whoever is next in command continues with the operation. They sort out their cases and then they resume. But why is it that we are just allowed these people, regardless of their legal issues? I'm talking electoral legal issues now. They're still sworn in, and then we're having issues in court. You were not legitimately. There's just, and it distracts them.
You see that it's take for instance the governorship. You go to the tribunal. By the time you're filing in the tribunal or whatever, he's been sworn in.
Right.
You go to the tribunal, and you cannot have vacuum in governance.
Right.
He's been sworn in. From there, you go to the Court of Appeal.
Right.
He's still there. Then you go to the Supreme Court, and then that's the final arbiter and what have you. In which case, to achieve what you're talking about, they have to look at the Electoral Act again. They have to look at the Constitution and see. And maybe they are going to have super fast timelines for the tribunal judges, for the Court of Appellate judges, and for the Supreme Court. So the elections were moved, that we had them in February. Instead of nearer the time. So maybe they have to start having these elections sometime during the third year. maybe the end, maybe November, who knows? I'm not thinking, I'm just saying. They have to look at all those things again. It is a very, very important aspect of it. And especially in our own given circumstance, you find that, oh, what is the point? This person now has the instruments of state to influence, to put pressure on the judiciary, or
and now they would have to uphold the election of this individual.
So it's one of the more important or most important ones that they have to look at again.
Is it possible if we were to consider this recommendation in the UWES report such that if you have legal issues regarding your election, before you're given the certificate of return at all, let it be sorted out before you are sworn in? Is it still possible right now?
No, it can't be before the certificate of return, because immediately he's elected, within 2-3 days, you can't prepare your legal papers within that time. Within 2-3 days or so, he'll get his certificate.
That's what I'm saying, that can't we adjust the Electoral Act such that you are not granted
until the time in which the person that lost out or anyone that is aggrieved has to institute a suit in court, has elapsed. That is a possibility. You understand? That's a possibility.
All right. Well, this is still the Situation Room on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. We're looking at reports, recommendations, and also the implementation pattern of the government when it comes to all of the many ideas that Nigerians have offered to the government when it comes to public sector reform, electoral reform. And we're referencing quite a number of reports. In fact, 3 reports that a lot of Nigerians are very aware of. Some say they're still relevant to what's going on right now. Some say they are outdated and cannot cater to some of the problems that we have, which is why we're having the conversation today. Do you think the recommendations in all of these many reports can still help us to solve all of the persistent problems that we have when it comes to service delivery, when it comes to the election? We're still going to talk very briefly about security. We started by talking about the Ōrānsanyō report, and of course you can understand why it's probably going to be, well, it will be implemented. We have about 6 minutes. We'd have to go on a break to take the headline news and a few commercials, and then we would actually still talk about the confab report of 2014 under the President Goodluck Jonathan's led administration. And you know that we went through a lot of upheaval, and a lot of secessionist groups were being formed, are still being formed at this time. And since time immemorial, there's been conversation about how exactly can we coexist in all of our diversity. How can we make people realize that regardless of tribe and ethnicity, we're still Nigerians first, we're human beings first, before we're anything else that we are. And you can understand that this diversity, a lot of people have weaponized this diversity, and they've used it to tell us that this other person cannot cater to you, only your person can cater to you, and that has caused a lot of problem for us, and is still causing problems for us in this. Talking about recommendations and reports that have been offered to the government and how useful they still can be in solving our current issues. As a matter of fact, let's just take advantage of the time that we have left to talk about the confab report and start talking about it. I've said that first things first, the diversity or the differences between us, tribe, ethnicity, our value system, amongst other things, as much as this could have been something that would unite us, certain individuals have weaponized. But since time immemorial, we've seen that that a person who is like you being at the helm of affairs does not mean you'll be catered to. We've had presidents from different regions of the country, and these regions I cannot, not to name drop, but I don't see how a certain tribe is president and everybody from that tribe is necessarily the richest or the wealthiest in that time. You understand?
So
let's talk about that generally. First of all,
I have a lot of my brothers and sisters, the Yorubas, that are crying. It's religion and ethnicity, and people have fallen for it, and they keep falling for it.
Right.
I always say, when people say, "Oh, it will not happen again," I always say, you wait till 2026. The moment they start to talk about that and start to distribute rice and groundnut oil and Ankara material, then the people who have been suffering, they suddenly lose their senses and begin to,
But that doesn't mean aren't we a part of the problem? If that's it, I mean, we have to be a part of the problem as well.
Get me right.
Right? Easily
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
The problem is with us, we, the people.
Right.
Anyone who is a rogue, who is a thief, it is your duty to look at that person and say, okay, I'm voting. You know what I always tell people? I say the housewife in Britain knows more about the price of bread than the professor or the lawyer in Nigeria. She will tell the man contesting or the woman contesting to be member of parliament, oh, I voted for you 4 years ago. I'm not voting for you again. They'll tell them to their face. But in Nigeria, they can't say that. Honorable, you're welcome. Because he's come, he's giving them money. And they've forgotten that what he promised regarding education, healthcare, Medicare, etc., etc.
Unfulfilled.
I went to an area one day. We had to park the car. We couldn't walk, the road. And they had this big banner, so for councillor. The party that was in power. And I said to someone, I said, is it councillor into one bed? Your councillor that is there right now. They said yes. I said, you people are mad.
You can't.
And look at your streets. Look at the drainage flowing into the houses. So it is the people more than anything else. I know we have problem with leadership. Our listeners shouldn't get me wrong.
Right.
But let us talk about why the people do not understand democracy and are not willing to use democracy for their own benefit.
We're going to have to go on a brief break. We'll take the headline news, take a few commercials, and continue with the conversation on public sector reform, report, recommendations, and implementation. My name is Sage Babalola. You're still listening to The Situation Room on Mainland 98.3 FM. Don't go anywhere.
Headline news on 98.3 Mainland FM.
Good evening. Headline news on Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Omobola Sandra. Tinubu pays condolence visits to 괶 family, says he was a fearless fighter. Obi tells Tinubu to cut cost of governance across board concerning Orosanye's report. Nigeria Senate proposes food stamps to reduce rising hunger. Mara commends UK over Marine Headquarters project for NDLEA. On the foreign scene, Guinea junta appoints Mamadou Uriba as new prime minister. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny to be buried in Moscow on Friday. Joe Biden wins Michigan primary despite sizable Gaza protest vote. And in sports, Roars Benin Republic to face Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal in friendly games. That's the headline news on Mainland FM. Details at 5:30.
When the airwaves in your market become more and more crowded. It's time to break it open and really stand out. Broken Air is here.
On Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
The drama, the suspense, the emotions, the gang moments. Don't miss out on Nollywood movies and web series on YouTube. With the YouTube buffet plan from MTN, you can enjoy over 10 hours of Nollywood content made for you. Sharply dial *312*800# to activate the YouTube buffet plan from MTN and start enjoying YouTube made for you. Hey there, tech enthusiasts! Get ready to ignite your world with the all-new Tecno Spark 20.
That's right! The Spark 20 with its stunning display and powerful features is here to redefine your smartphone experience.
We've also partnered with Google and MTN to bring you even more. With the Spark 20, Google apps, and loads of free MTN data, your digital life just got smarter and more connected.
Grab your Tecno Spark 20 today and step into a world where style meets technology.
Tecno, stop at nothing.
Official partner of the Africa Cup of Nations 2023.
What takes a plate of jollof rice to the next level of goodness? Is it when it is cooked with non-sizzling cubes for that sumptuous taste? Or when you serve it with correct Nigerian salad, cabbage, carrot, lettuce, and a bit of kidney beans?
It's both.
Season your jollof with the rich taste of Knorr cubes and serve with plenty of vegetables. So, go ahead and elevate your meals. Today, eat for good.
The drama, the suspense, the emotions, the gang moments. Don't miss out on Nollywood movies and web series on YouTube. With the YouTube buffet plan from MTN, you can enjoy over 10 hours of Nollywood content made for you. Sharply dial *312*800# to activate the YouTube buffet plan from MTN and start enjoying YouTube made for you.
To cook correct food, they always give me joy. That's why anytime I cook like this, I dey always season am with Knorr cubes. Come add correct vegetables inside. Ugu, tatashe, shombo, onions. No one wey I no dey put. Na im make my pikin dem dey always enjoy my cooking.
Daddy, I never available. I want more.
You see, all your food with correct vegetables. Come season am with Knorr cubes for that ogbonge taste. Today, chop better.
The Financial Services Regulation public to the worrisome increase in the activities of illegal financial operators (IFOs) which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The FSRCC and NBC hereby advises the general public to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Make sure to verify the licensing status of such companies and schemes on this website. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call 0700 225 5226, 0800 225 5226, or +234 817 665 6273. Let's work together to uphold the integrity of Nigeria's financial system. Announcer, FSRCC.
The drama, the suspense, the emotions, the gang moments. Don't miss out on Nollywood movies and web series on YouTube. With the YouTube buffet plan from MTN, you can enjoy over 10 hours of Nollywood content made for you. Sharply dial *312*800# to activate the YouTube buffet plan from MTN and start enjoying YouTube made for you.
Are you seeking admission into a tertiary institution in Nigeria? Here is a big opportunity for you. The 2022-2023 admission into Eko City Polytechnic is now open. Available courses are Computer Science, Theatre and Media Arts, Mass Communication, Science Laboratory Technology, Electronics Engineering, Accounting, Banking Operations, Business Administration, Multimedia Technology. Qualified students should have scored 100 and above in the last JAMB exam. Facilities at Eko City Polytechnic includes well-equipped studio and laboratories, modern classrooms, innovative workshop, recreation space, and fully functional hostels. Our lecturers and tutors combine both academic and industry experience. Full-time and part-time admission forms are available for the 2022-2023 academic session at the campus Eko City Polytechnic, Plot 100, Alhaji Onilewura Street, Ikotu Egbe, Lagos State. Eko City Polytechnic is approved by JAMB, NBTE, and the Federal Ministry of Education. For more information, please call Moses 091-6254-0610, Wale 091-6292-7079, Praise 091-6269-9996, Adelanwa 08126580784 or visit our website www.ecocity.edu.ng. Eco City Polytechnic, building industry ready professionals.
As you see me so, I belong to the Chop Better gang. Now why anytime I want chop like this, I be put better things inside. For my yam porridge, after I don't put my fish, I go come deck am with onions, tatashe and ugu, come season am with correct no cubes for that delicious taste. Because my people, good life na life where you chop better. Sama all your food with correct vegetables, come season am with no cubes for that ogbonge delicious taste. Today, chop better.
Hey there, tech enthusiasts! Get ready to ignite your world with the all-new Tecno Spark 20.
That's right, the Spark 20 with its stunning display and powerful features is here to redefine your smartphone experience.
We've also partnered with Google and MTN to bring you even more. With the Spark 20, Google apps and loads of free MTN data, your digital life just got smarter and more connected.
Grab your Tecno Spark 20 today and step into a world where style meets technology.
Tecno, stop at nothing.
Official partner of the Africa Cup of Nations 2023.
The drama, the suspense, the emotions, the gang moments. Don't miss out on Nollywood movies and web series on YouTube. With the YouTube buffet plan from MTN, you can enjoy over 10 hours of Nollywood content made for you. Sharply dial *312*800# to activate the YouTube buffet plan from MTN and start enjoying YouTube made for you.
Mainland 98.3 FM, your number one radio. Reaching stars, the sound of Lagos.
Dear Nigerians, I am determined, I repeat, to give you the affordable and reliable power.
The stakes are higher than ever.
Government policy does not support youth in this country. So if you say you have any idea, one day, one way or the other,
The conversations are louder than imagined. The expectations are greater. The demand for quality blueprints needed to make informed decisions is constantly being reviewed.
You can't start hiding under party or anything. We are leaders that are entrusted by our people. Come and speak on their behalf.
The Situation Room on 98.3 Mainland FM provides the platform where all of your demands are met. Issue-based conversations about politics, policies, leadership and governance in Nigeria and around the world. Join us every Mondays through Fridays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. as we engage and interact towards setting the agenda for proper accountability and public engagements. The Situation Room is here. We welcome the roommates.
Welcome back, and of course thank you for staying with us. This is still the Situation Room on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. We have been having a very of these recommendations that have been offered to the government as far back as 12, 10, 16 years ago, and how relevant these recommendations still can be in the reality that we're in at this moment. Like I said, whether it be our economics, whether it be national unity, whether it be also our electoral progress at this time. We're streaming live on Facebook. Unfortunately, there's a problem with the phone lines, and this might linger for a little bit, so most of our interaction would have to be done via the Facebook platform or the WhatsApp platform. So if you'd like to contribute to the conversation that we've been having since 4 p.m, you can do us the favor of texting us or sending a WhatsApp message to the number 0913 6000 430. That's 0913 6000 430. That's WhatsApp or text message. Or you can join our live stream on Facebook. That's Mainland 98.3 FM or facebook.com/Mainland 98.3 FM. I see all of your we spoke about the Omosoyo report, the merits and the demerits, and also the challenges that the committee might face in trying to implement some of the recommendations of that particular report. We took it a step further and spoke about the 𝐴ᴏᴜ report on electoral reform. Also, some of the recommendations in that particular report and how difficult it might be to implement some are relevant to what we're experiencing right now when it comes to election and the leadership selection process in the country. Before we start taking public opinion, I want us to have a quick look at the National Conference of 2014 that was put together by former President Goodluck Jonathan, and some of the recommendation of that particular report, or the Confab report of 2014, and if it's still possible for us to have a look at that report and see if it can still help us to get out of the crosshairs that we're in right now, especially when it comes to national unity and also leadership. Mr. Johnson, I want us to have a conversation about one of the provision of that report, which is the ban on state funding of pilgrims and our expenditure, for example, amongst others who say, they're going to other parts of the world to pray for the country, and then we take money, taxpayers' money, to fund these trips. They're not going on diplomatic assignments. They're not going to meet with world leaders to, confer and allow for foreign direct investment to come into the country. I mean, they do that, and we can understand and take, what I say out of context. But then this report is saying we have no business funding your decision to go and pray. That's your religion. That's your belief. Why do we have to pay for that? What do you say about that?
Well, I say that if I were in government,
right,
or in an executive position, either as governor or if you have your money to go and pray and do whatever you want to do, go. If not, government will not sponsor you. Why should government sponsor you? It's as simple as that. That's part of the wastage we're talking about, especially when we say we have a scarcity of the greenback.
Yeah.
There's no...
Exactly. The Forex as well, and you're using that to go on pilgrimages.
Exactly. So,
right. To look at the Electoral Act. The Electoral Act provides that vote belongs to the party. Let me just put that out there. The vote belongs to the party. You represent the party. You might have your own ideology, but you are a part of the party. It's the party that is on the ballot, not your name. And this particular report says maybe we should consider independent candidacy such that we're able to hold individuals accountable for whatever mistakes that they make in government. That has not been implemented. We're still holding parties responsible. Do you think that it would be easier if an individual, because a lot of people will say, I support this person, I will not support the individual. So this report is saying, let individuals come out. This is me, independent candidacy, vote for me.
Yes, I think that's one of the things that, one of the places the judiciary got us to. And the recommendation is an effort to correct it. I think, I'm not sure, I haven't been reading my law recently. I think it started from the Amechi judgment. Rotimi Amechi, how many years ago? And I think it's an aberration for the electoral jurisprudence in Nigeria to be saying that it is the party, not the individual. It is the individual, as far as I'm concerned. Whatever of a party, he is the one I am giving my mandate to. Not his party. You get it?
Yes.
He could leave his party. You understand? Let me believe in the person. Yes, he may have told me that this is free education, this, that, the platform of that particular party at the time. And then all of a sudden, he decides he wants to go to a right of center party that says it's no longer free education, you have to pay for everything.
Right.
It's a capitalist world, etc., etc. But fortunately, that's where we're at today. And this is one of the recommendations.
Would support that.
Would support that. But really, I feel that the people will benefit more if they're talking about the individuals. Yes, you have to be you don't have to be. You are in a party, sponsored by a party. You don't have to be, because I also believe in independent candidacy. You understand? But you are sponsored by a party, or because they believe in you. They believe that you are the person in this area they want as councillor. They want as member of State House of Assembly.
Right. All right, so there's also something here about resource control, and it's so unfortunate that there are regions of the country that feel totally cheated. And I would just be, that's how vague I'm willing to be on the program today. A lot of regions in the country feel cheated. They feel like they contribute a huge amount of, resources to the country. They are a significant part of the country's wealth, yet they get the formula. Should be like everybody gets the same thing. If you're not putting in as much work, you shouldn't. You're supposed to, okay, this is what that's how it's shared to all say this is what you get. But then the report is saying if I contribute this much to the entirety of the nation, when the results come in, when the profits come in, I should enjoy a commensurate of the resources that they contribute to the nation.
Well, I think it was during President Obasanjo's time that 13% derivation was agreed.
That's
for
the nail on the head.
For areas that are producing oil, etc. I believe it is fair. It could even be increased as far as I'm concerned. You see, I believe that every part of this country, Nigeria is so blessed, grow on. You understand? They can rely on, develop, and grow on. You don't have to rely. Resource control is good. I believe that people should benefit from whatever is theirs and whatever they work on.
Right.
Now, when I say whatever they work on, I'm a Lagosian. I believe we should get much, much more. Instance, of course, I'm very close to Kanu. So I'm sure they're going to, if they listen to me, they're going to deal with that alcohol should be sold.
Why do you take taxes from the sale?
Why do you take
taxes from the sale?
Money from the VAT from the breweries? You shouldn't. You see, so we really have to look at our federating relationship.
Right.
I don't like to call it restructuring or whatever. The federating relationship. Yes, we're in bed with each other, whether we like it or not. It's if I have to stay with this woman,
right?
You understand? And I don't like her food, allow me, even if we're on the same bed, to get someone else to cook my food for me.
Right.
After all, it's my belly.
I still love you, but
yes, even if let's get to
chef.
Together.
Let's get to chef.
I will not. Yes,
right.
I will not do anything to harm you. We're together.
Right.
Territory. So we have to look at that federating relationship.
Right.
Look, even in the north, you understand, we tend to think in the south here that, they don't want us to go, they don't want us to... The north, they have things they can... have all sorts of things. So we have to look at that and allow people to develop at the rate at which they are willing to develop. So that that, if there's government and not in 20 years' time not have developed your oil and your industries, etc. And I could be in Lagos and we have a small amount of oil in Badagry, but I know we're so blessed in Lagos, we're going to find more. You understand? But it's a commercial center. And if on IT, for instance, ICT, because there's so many youth, you understand? And Lagos becomes the hub for ICT in West Africa or Africa. And government is making taxes from it, etc., etc. And industries are coming in because I'm not killing them with taxes and levies like the government is way higher than those who have oil.
So maximize your resources, basically. Because of our time, very briefly, I want to look at the messages we've gotten so far. Ibilade Ambo on Facebook says, public sector reform is commendable as long as corruption, which is the elephant in the room, is properly dealt with. The whole idea is to cut down recurrent expenditure in civil service and save money for the government to spend on infrastructure. It is the same reason for petrol subsidy removal. Sage, I hope we don't end up saving money for those who will spend it on themselves rather than what it is meant for. Following the implements forward has now become, let's just say, has now been compromised. Let's put it like that. We have here, how can the court comprising of 3 to 5 or at least 7 members decide to give the final judgment on who becomes the winner of the election? An election that millions of people came out to express their franchise. If the country must move forward, the judiciary has a great role to play, and one of them to have a sincere electoral reform. The president should not be the one to appoint the Chief Justice of the Federation and the INEC chairman. On the ᴘᴜᴛ report, I feel the implementation should begin with leadership by example. We have somebody here that says, how can a councillor construct local streets in his area when there's little or no budget for it? I'm so sad that we have a devolution of power. If you can, please, in a minute, indulge me, speak about, the state governors not wanting to allow the local government to operate fully or optimally.
Let me just say that quickly. Firstly, I didn't mean that the councillor should construct. His job is to legislate, but his job is also to lobby the chairman of the local government to make sure that that area is properly done. But he is right. How the go was willing to say to Lagosians, and they bought it, that 20 local governments were going to turn it to 57 local governments, right? And they started this thing. You go against the constitution, you take the money belonging to 20 local governments at source and arbitrarily distribute into 57 local governments. That was the beginning of the madness. And then it's gotten to a stage whereby the local government chairman and whatever will tell you that we don't have money. Look at, let me just give you an example. Where you have Loma now, refuse disposal in the constitution is meant to be for the local governments.
Right.
But they took it over. They said it wasn't working. And they're right. At that time, it wasn't working. There was refuse everywhere. They took it over. And then Loma was created and Loma started to do it. But it is a duty of the local government in the constitution.
Right.
I'm just using it as an example.
It's so unfortunate that we actually have to go. We have just a few seconds, but it's a lot of recommendations, allowing devolution of power, allowing, these different tiers of government to function optimally and not allow one to be answerable to one, amongst other things. But then there's still more opportunity for conversations like this one. It was a pleasure to have you, Ladi Johnson, National Auditor, NNP, 5:30 p.m. My name is Sage Babalola. Thank you to everyone who participated, and we apologize for the phone lines, but stick around. This is still Mainland 98.3 FM. The full bulletin comes up at 5.